right? You cannot want someone to fill a hole that is yours to fill. That is your hole to fill. That will never. This puts so much stress on the relationship, and there's so much.
Welcome to Love Stories, a relationship podcast for successful women, where we talk about love, dating, relationships, and how great love stories are made. Whether you're searching for the one, you're madly in love, or simply curious about romantic relationships, this podcast is for you. I'm Charlene Byars. Each week, you'll hear from women, couples, and experts, and all the ins and outs on how to create your own love story. I am so passionate about this subject, and I'm so excited to share all the things that you can apply to create a beautiful love story of your own. Cheers to great love. Welcome back to the Love Stories podcast. I'm your host, Charlene Byars. Hi, happy new week. All right, I was talking to a client of mine this week, and we were talking about what makes a man attractive. Research have shown that women are attracted to men based on 3 reasons. One is kindness, and they're not just looking for someone who's a good person. They are impressed with men who are good with their parents. They are kind, and they go out of their way to help people even when there's no reciprocal expectations. They have a true kindness. The second reason is intelligence, because the smarter you are, the more likely you are to make good decisions and protect your family. One of the fastest ways to communicate intelligence is humor. When a man has emotional intelligence, he knows how to make a woman laugh and let her feel safe. The third reason women are attracted to men, and one of the most important things for women, is a man's ability to signal future resources. And it's not even that he has to be rich now, but he has to have his act together to show that he will be a decent provider, has plans for the future, and is moving in that direction. So ladies, if you're single and you're looking for a man, these are really important things to think about when you're meeting and getting to know different men. It's not just what they look like. It's not just if you're attracted to them. It really comes down to how you feel around them. Let's talk about the tip of the week, which is asking key questions on a date to help you explore your compatibility. Here's a list of questions that you can ask while dating to get to know a person in the different areas of their life, because it's very important that you take your time getting to know someone to make sure that they are the right fit before you keep dating them and you commit. 1. Dating goals. Ask, what kind of relationship are you looking for? 2. Future plans. Ask, what goals do you want to accomplish in the next 5 years? 3. Values. Ask, what values are most important to you? 4. Beliefs. Ask, what role does faith play in your life? 5. Daily routines. Ask, what's your routine on a typical day or weekend? 6. Childhood. Ask, what's a favorite childhood memory that you have? 7. Life experiences. Ask, have you had an experience that fundamentally changed you? 8. Embarrassing moments. Ask, what's the most awkward situation you found yourself in? 9. Next date future plans. Ask, what's something adventurous you've always wanted to try? 10. Intimacy and sex, if appropriate. Ask, what are your thoughts of intimacy in a relationship? These questions will really help you get to know someone, so go for it. And if you would like a list of these questions, please make sure that you email us at Charlene at charlenebyars.com, and we will make sure to get the list right out to you. Thank you. I am so thrilled to welcome our next guest to the show today, Fabiana Dorea, corporate lawyer turned self-love expert, published writer, public speaker, and a life coach. Fabiana found her purpose in teaching, motivating, and empowering humans to find their place in the world and embrace their wholeness. Through her workshop, Marry Yourself First, she inspires many with her own self-love story as she teaches practical tools so that everyone can leave the room with a heart filled with self-love and fueled by compassion. She's mainly active through her Instagram at Fabi_Dorea, where you can find her writings, insights, lives, and podcasts made in collaboration with other professionals. What a great conversation I had with Fabia. From a young age, she knew that she didn't want to follow what people thought that she should do for her life. She knew at a young age that there was something deep inside of her that she really wanted to explore and do things her way. She didn't want to settle. So with no further ado, Fabiana Dorea. Well, hello, Fabiana. Hi, Mama. Oh my goodness, I have such a treat today. I have a fellow Latina on the show today. I have a most beautiful friend, and she's from Brazil. And I'm seriously, I was so excited because on our pre-call, I mean, I just loved what you were sharing about your relationship that you have now with your husband, but it wasn't always like that, and your whole love story, and just what a really honestly, what a powerful woman you are, and the things that you have accomplished. And I've just been so excited to talk to you. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure meeting you on the pre-call. And we, Latinas, we got the blood, we get along well. So I'm very pleased, and I feel very honored to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. And you look beautiful with that shirt. What a beautiful shirt. Wow, Mama. Thank you so much. So, this podcast, as I've talked to you about it. This podcast really celebrates love, and it celebrates love and people's journey, and, having to go through whatever we go through to get to where we wanted to go, right? So all of these guests that I've had on, they've been able to come, some people are experts, some people are not, but whatever their journey is, just being able to share their experience and how things were at one time and how things are now. I just want to let people know that love is available for all of us. And, it doesn't matter if you've never really been in love, or it doesn't matter if you have been in love. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter what you've gone through. It is truly available for all of us. And that's why I've been bringing on guests to also share their story and their, journey on how they got to where they got to. And even though, like I said, you guys, we can have, some times in our life that we can feel discouraged and we can think, oh, I don't know, maybe it's not in the cards for me. Well, you know what? I just want to let you know that it is in the cards. If that's what you want, if that's something that you desire, it's in the cards. And a lot has to do with, how we grow up and what we think about relationships and the experiences we've had and how we got to where we got to. So to start out, I want to ask you this. Take us back to your childhood. Take us back to how you grew up. Where did you grow up? And, who did you live with? And what was your experience like when you were a child? Let's start from there.
I grew up in Brazil, in Northeast Brazil, actually. It's along the coast, so it's very warm. It's hot. There's beautiful beaches. I'm the youngest from two sisters. So growing up, and we're very close in age. So growing up is that mist of pulling hairs and havoc around the place, running around. I had a
It
very
was just you and it was just you and your sister. Okay, it was just you and your sister.
Two sisters, three with me, so three girls.
Oh, so it's three girls total.
Yes.
Okay, so you're the baby, and there were two older ones.
Yes, correct.
Okay, did you grow up with your mom? So you're the baby, and then you have the older in the middle, but they're all kind of like close in age, right? You guys were kind of closer in age.
we're all close in age. We all have the same body type. So it's like, who got my shirt? Who got this?
Oh,
I didn't allow you to get. So it was like crazy.
crazy. Yeah. Did you guys grow up with your mom and your dad, Mama? Did you guys have, so how was that like?
Yes, my parents are still married. They're still
Okay.
together. My mom is very, very uh, authoritarian.
Okay.
Like she's very controlling,
Okay.
very loving, very loving. She was a super mom, though, that mom of doing everything. Um, and they relate. My parents' relationship dynamics is very crazy for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Let's talk about
they
that.
Yeah, they love each other. They cannot live without each other, but they are like Tom and Jerry. And Latinos, they can be loud. My mom is like, especially in the car, I think she has like, I don't know what she's not in control when she's on the passenger seat. So she's like,
Oh my
what's this?
god.
What's that? I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
Mom, like, calm down,
Yeah, slow
I'm
down,
listening.
Mama.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she's always been this way, right? This is how your
Always
mom's
been
always
the way.
been.
And
Oh my
she's a
goodness.
fast thinker and she's
Hmm.
quick and she likes everything. She's like, and if you don't understand what she's explaining, she gets irritated because then you're slow. And and my dad is the opposite. He's
Oh,
slower in pace. Thank God, because can you imagine two fast paced?
no.
Like,
Yeah.
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 Um,
So
so
your
it was
dad, so it's like a yin and a yang. The dad that they balance each other out a little bit, right?
they balance each other out a little bit, and they drive each
Okay.
other crazy,
And
and
they
they love
drive
each
each other
other.
crazy.
Yeah, and they love
How
each
did
other.
that? Well, let me tell you something. Like, you were just saying, you just made a comment, which I can totally manage. You're like, my parents have this crazy type of relationship, right? And it's not, you're like, okay, no, no disrespect, everyone
Yeah.
does their thing, but that's not for you. How did that actually play a part in like what you thought of relationships? How did that play a part in like when you decided to like go out and start, meeting people? What did you think? What did you think relationships? Were you thinking, okay, yes, I want something like that or not, or maybe I don't want to get married or I want to get married? What was life like in that respect?
For me, I never thought of getting married or not getting married because coming from Brazil,
Yeah.
it's it's the natural way, right? You're expected to get married at a very early age where I'm from, which is
Oh,
Northeast Brazil, Salvador. I
okay.
got married at a very late age,
Okay.
especially compared to my sisters. They married before their 30s. I
Okay.
married after 30, 35. So, and my husband was 42.
Okay.
So that is very late for
Okay.
Salvador.
For
So for
your
me,
culture, so people get married. So in your culture, so people get married really young,
24,
right?
yes,
24, 22, whatever. Like, so it's
yeah.
kind of like right out of college or even during college.
During college, like my cousin just got married. She's 21.
Okay. Okay.
So,
But
so
that wasn't you. You were like, you were thinking that's not for me. I don't want to get married so young.
no, the thing is, my
What
relationships,
happened?
when I started my relationships, they were really controlling. They were
Okay.
so jealous, but insanely jealous.
Hmm.
And I'm Aquarius. I'm very free. I like to do what I want to do. I don't like to do as told. I'm a very free spirited person.
Okay.
So when I had those types of very restraining relationship, I thought that is not for me. But I kept falling in the same pattern of relationship
Yes.
over
Yes.
and over and over. And
Okay.
that's when around I was 18, I said, there's must be something wrong with me for
Hmm.
me to be attracting this pattern over and over again. I need to change something in myself, the way I see things, the way I see relationship, what kind of energy am I vibrating to attract
Wow.
just this. So I ended up at a therapist's room.
Oh, really? This is
Yeah.
fascinating. At a very young age, that is really awesome, actually, that you started having. I mean, I'm sorry you went through what you went through, but you started having this really, because, a lot of us women, Mama, we don't even have this realization until much older. So there was something there when you were about 18 years old. You're like, something's off here, right? Because
Yeah,
why am I
something is
okay? So
off.
what happened? What did you do?
So I went to therapy and I started to, what was my part on that? What was my necessity of finding those controlling men? What I was afraid of my liberty. I needed someone to cut my wings. So I started to do like a self-analysis, question myself. And through this process, I then found a boyfriend that later we got engaged. That was
Okay.
the opposite. He was super relaxed. He was nothing, like had no jealousy in him.
You're like, well, what happened? You're like, what happened? Well, because we get so used to like a certain type of energy, right? And even if it's good or bad. So I can only imagine, was it refreshing to you? Or were you like, huh, this is
It-
so different? What was it
yeah.
like for you?
In the beginning, it was very weird because I started dating at 14.
Okay.
I started dating at 14, and I only had that reality in my life, that pattern of relationship. So when it was like, oh, I can hang around with my, friends, men friend. Oh, I can go to the shopping mall by myself. I can go and meet my girlfriends without you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, but yes, then it was very, I'm like, thank God, now I have a little bit of room to be me and without being scared that my boyfriend would pop out of nowhere and
Out of
make,
nowhere. Right.
yeah, they would
Right.
follow me. It was a disaster. Like,
It was a disaster. So you were
yeah,
like, I have to do whatever I need to do to get out of those patterns. So now you meet this guy and you get yourself, you're doing a little therapy. You're young, but you find this guy. So you do end up attracting in the beginning a man who wasn't so controlling and who wasn't, like all over you and all the things that you were experiencing in the past. So what ends up happening with him?
so he was all over me, but in a good way.
Okay.
He really wanted to be a father and to
Oh,
get
okay.
married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at that time, and that's what I always say, you have to build a relationship with yourself first. You need to marry yourself first in order to marry someone else. There's no way out. There is no way
That's
out.
so good.
Yeah. And
That's so
and at
good.
that
Tell us why,
time,
because this experience that you went through. So at the time, what was going on with you then?
yeah. At the time, both of my sisters were married.
Okay.
I was expected to get married. I was engaged, and he was also a lawyer. I graduated from law school. I was working, but nothing. I didn't have a sense of purpose in life. Nothing made
Mm,
sense for me. I mean,
okay.
he was a great guy. He loved me. He was good,
Mhm.
but I wasn't happy. I loved the way he loved me, but did I
Mm,
truly love him?
mhm.
And at that time, I didn't love anything about my life. And now, if you look from the outside, you would think I was crazy, right? You would look
Okay.
at me and say, well, she got a structured family. She got a job. She got a man that loves her. She got health. She's very healthy. What is wrong with her? She's ungrateful. And that just added pressure to that sadness that I was feeling. I
Oh,
felt like I couldn't
yes.
feel sad because I had so much to be grateful for that I couldn't allow myself to be sad. So that was even worse because I was like, oh, why am I so sad if I have all the things that everybody else wants?
Mhm.
I don't know if
Mhm.
that's what I want, but everybody else seems to want that.
Well, was it that the expectations? Like you said earlier, you grew up in a culture too, and I think, this is so relatable to a lot of us people. We grow up that people have such
Yes.
expectations where they think what's right for us, and they think that's just how it is. Like you just said, you're young, you meet your person, you get married young, you do this, you should be happy. Done. And you found
Exactly.
yourself, right? And you found yourself, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Yes.
I'm right there right now. And I'm not happy. But you didn't have at the time, obviously, because everyone thinks, and what's wrong with you, the support for someone to
No.
say, no, it's okay. So what happens? What do you do?
You know what troubled me? Like, no one
Tell
really
me.
asks these questions anymore. And my mom, she has still nowadays, she still has that. It's a sticker that she has on her room, on the
Hmm.
window,
Hmm.
saying, it's a globe saying, what are we doing here? And I asked myself this question since I was very young. I'm like, what am I doing here? There is more to life than get married, have kids, have a wife with, a
Hmm.
picket fence, and work on a 9 to 5 job to pay the bills and maybe go to vacation, maybe if I'm very lucky, twice a year. There's more to life. There needs to be more, And I started to realize that I'm like, who am I? Where do I want to go? What legacy do I want to leave? Do I really want to be a lawyer? Because I am not seeing any justice here. Because I wanted to be a lawyer because of the justice. I thought I was going to change the whole system, and I could not swim against that. As a matter of fact, that was one of my realizations after when I became a coach was I could not change anything except for myself in the way how I see things and how I interact with things in circumstances. So nothing made sense. I was not happy on my job. So I was not happy with myself. I was not happy with my relationship. I just felt so suffocated here. And I just wanted to leave. I wanted to find myself. I was becoming a product of people's expectations because that was
that's so good. Wow, that's so good. Wow.
Yeah.
Don't you think a lot of us women, and I would say men too. I want people to hear this. Like, don't you feel that a lot of us just kind of fall into what we think we're expected to do? Like, well, that's like the next step. And then we get ourselves in, certain relationships. Some people, they get, they meet their person when they're younger and they do fine and they do great. That's awesome. That's awesome. But a lot of people, they get in these relationships and they think that, this is what it should be and how it should be, but they're not happy and they're struggling and they have that restlessness that you did. So you found yourself, like you said, in the outside, everything looks good. Everyone's like, oh, she's beautiful. She's educated. She's this and that. She should be happy. But you knew inside you weren't. And this actually had nothing to do with the guy, probably.
No, nothing to do with him. But can you imagine if I'm feeling torn apart and then I go half, not completely myself, not certain of what I want. I get in a relationship, and relationship is like a dance.
Yes.
You need to be able to be standing on both of your feet to dance and to communicate.
Yes.
It's hard. It's tough. Relationship, before everything else, it's a decision. It's a decision to be married every single day, right?
Yes.
It's not easy.
Yes.
So if I went like this, it's a recipe for disaster. If I got engaged and then we had kids, because if you think a son comes to, I don't know, maybe complete a hole or to fix something, you're completely wrong. If you don't have a stable relationship, the kid will just train it even more,
Wow. I am just in awe. I mean, that is pretty fascinating how there was something about you, Missy, good for you, that even though it felt uncomfortable, I'm sure you felt like just so like, what am I going to do? But something wasn't right. You followed that, gut, that intuition, what I call, your feminine power, like how something is not feeling right and you can't put your finger on it, but something has to change, walk through it. But a lot of us won't do that.
Yeah.
Like we won't walk through. We kind of go to the side. So what did you do? Yeah, they go to the safe side. So what happened with you? How did you walk through this? Because I mean, maybe you already had your sisters getting married, your family's thinking, you like the guy's a nice guy. What do you do? Because I want people to hear this. If something is not feeling right, like if you find yourself like, supposedly everything, you got the right person and right this, but if you're not right, I love what you said already. I love that if you are not right with yourself and you're not happy with yourself, there is no way that you're going to be happy with somebody else.
There's no way.
So what happens?
So what happened was, I usually say that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is putting your fears inside your backpack and going with your fear, right? So at that point, I was really lost.
Okay.
I was like...
what age are you at this time? Give us an age. What age was this? What age were you?
20, early 20s, around 23.
About 23 years old. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, what am I going to do now? I know what I don't want. I know I don't
Okay.
want this right now. It's suffocating. It's killing my soul. This internal life is just boiling up. I want some voice. I need to hear. I need to find my voice. Who is Fabiana amidst all these expectations, amidst all these people? So I got my backpack and I went to the other side of the world. I went to London. Yeah, and I was like, bye. My boyfriend at the time said, I will wait for you. I went for a master's. I did my international law there, and I was supposed to stay for 1 year and come back and
Okay.
get married.
Okay. Okay. So you're
So
okay. So this is good. You see how she did it? She did a little bit of like, okay. She's like, I know that
baby
it's not my right timing, baby. Oh, I love that. Okay. But you're like, let me go in baby steps. So you're thinking, okay, let me get out, let me figure this out, let me have some time for myself. But ultimately, I'm still thinking, because he's a nice guy, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's a nice guy or whatever guy, you got to know that that is your person. You can't, the person can be great, but if they're not great for you, then they're not great, right? For you.
Yeah.
Okay, but you go, okay, I love this. So you say, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to get my master's, but this is only for a year.
Only for a year.
Okay, then
So
what happened?
I get there. It's cold. I don't know anyone. I'm sharing houses with people I never met before. I got out of a very hot, warm climate
That's
with a
right.
very, very stable financial life because I
Okay.
was already working as a lawyer. I had my car, I had my things, my personal
Yes.
trainer, everything.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I get there. I have one room. I'm sharing a bathroom. I am working as a waitress, earning 6.6, I think it was £6 an hour.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Yeah.
6.25 an hour.
Yeah.
It's cold as very cold,
Yeah.
very
Cold.
cold,
Yeah. It's so
cold.
cold.
For a Brazilian, it's very cold.
Yeah.
And I'm washing dishes on the other side of the world, and everyone here is like, well, she just went
She
mad.
lost her mind.
She
They're
lost
like,
her mind.
ella está loca. Like she went crazy. Like that. She like, how is she leaving all this to do? Okay, let me ask you this. Even though you were in that situation, and look at what you just said about where you were, how were you feeling at the time? Did you have relief, or were you stressing yourself out? Or were you like, I'd rather be here than where I was? What was it like for you? What were you feeling, mama?
On the beginning, it was very hard, very, very
Mhm.
hard because my course, I did not identify myself with law anymore. And I had
Okay.
I paid for a whole master's in law. So I had to
Okay.
finish. Um, I was still compromised with that guy that was here.
Okay.
So I was still emotionally related to him. It was very cold. The work was very hard, and I was still studying.
Okay.
So, getting 3, 4 buses a night and then working. I've never been on that side of the table. So I would say on my first 3 years, it was a shock.
Okay.
I didn't care what people had to say, like, oh, she went from a lawyer to a waitress. That I couldn't care
You
less.
didn't care. That's good.
No, I didn't care. I was
Wow. You
like,
didn't care. Okay, good.
no.
Listen, ladies, listen to that. Did you hear that? Like, honestly, in the end of the day, your life is your life.
Yeah.
And you got to do what you got to do, like for yourself. You got to do what you got to do. And truly, don't worry about people. Don't worry about what they say because they're going to say something no matter what anyway. So it doesn't even matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't even
Exactly.
matter. I know. I hope all of us, I know we do care for the most part what people think, but those are the people we love. But no, when it comes to you as an individual person and doing what you need to do for your life, listen, it's your life. It's
That's right.
okay. You get to do what you want to do, regardless what people think, regardless. So Missy, you were doing it. Like, so you're like, I don't care, keep going. You're like, I don't care what
I
people
don't care.
think.
And for me, it was such a humbling experience to be there.
Mm,
I met people from everywhere. I met refugees. I met poets. I met people that were taking a sabbatical year. So for me, and it was my first act of service. Like, was the
okay.
first time I was serving someone on,
Oh, that's wonderful.
which is my purpose in life is to serve.
Mhm.
So it was my first contact. So for me, it was a very humbling experience. I met a lot of people. So I didn't care. I literally, I just shut my ears and I'm like, okay, now you are one ocean apart. How much influence are you going to allow for, the other side of the world to rule your life and say how you should live your life? You're the one that, just trust the process, close your eyes and go. There's something for you on the end of the way. And then I was like, you know what? That's it. I'll go with the flow. If nothing turns out right, I'll shave my hair. I'll become a Buddhist monk, and I'm fine with that. That's all I was saying.
Man, talk about following what you need to follow. She's like, I am at a point that I am not going to like put myself in a box what people want. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to free myself, because you even said, hold on, let me take you back. This is so good. Let me take you back. So you already said earlier that you were going to go there, and I don't know how long you've been there, so we're going to keep going here. But you were said I was only going to go there for 1 year, un año, 1 year. But you ended up. By now we're in the story. You're there 3 years. Okay,
Yeah.
so hold on. So I know I want to see how long you're there. In the 1 year to the 3 years, were you still with the guy?
No, so I went back after 1
Yeah.
year.
What happened to the guy? What happened to the guy? Yeah. Okay.
After 1 year, I finished my master's.
Okay.
And by the way, my first year in London, I hated it. I was like, oh my God, this food is awful. The weather is awful. People don't talk to each other. They're just looking at their phones. Like, let's interact, people.
Okay.
I hated it. But I came back and I saw a pattern in my family, in the society I was brought up, which is a very close bubble. And it looks like dogs running around their tail. So I said, I can't do that. I'd rather be serving, I'd rather be on the other side of the world serving tables. Sorry, excuse me.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So I told him I couldn't get married, and I went back to London.
Oh, you did? Okay. So you ended that relationship. Just take your time. I'll talk for a second. I'm a talker. Don't worry. So what I hear you say is, so you were there for a year and you did not like it because it was such an adjustment for you, and that you were going through this whole, like realization of like, okay, I'm not happy where I'm at. I'm not happy where I'm at, where you were in Brazil and what was going on. So I'm going to give myself this opportunity and I'm going to go to London. But the first year, you remember you had this, fiance, whatever, over here in Brazil. And you have a first year that you're okay, you're good. And you have the first year that you are like, okay, I'm miserable. But then you decide to go back. So when you went back to Brazil, and after the first year, were you going back to break up with the guy and still had intentions of going back to London? Or what were your intentions going back to Brazil? Were you just taking a little break? What was that?
I didn't know, actually. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I came for 3 months and I told him, listen, I'm not ready to come back here. I'm not ready to give us a chance. And then I went back to London and he still kept like trying.
Okay. He tried. Okay.
He tried. He visited me there a couple of times. And I think things naturally faded away. Like, it was very natural.
Okay.
After a couple of years, yeah.
Okay. So wow. The guy hung around for a couple of years, right? Kind of doing that.
He really wanted.
Well, okay, he wanted to. You because you were showing him like, I'm not ready. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, that's fine. That was his decision that he, like you said, we have a choice to do things. How were you talking to him? Were you still telling him, yes, we're going to be together? Or were you saying like, babe, I'm not sure. I don't know.
I told him, I was real with him. I said, listen, I need to figure things out for myself. The old story is not you, it's me. But it was true. It wasn't him, it was me. And then he just kept waiting. He's like, okay, I'll give you time to figure things out. He was a bit older. So he knew what he wanted. But for me, it was like, okay, you know what you're getting yourself into. I don't want to mislead you, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because I
mm-hmm,
obviously it's someone else's feelings as well. We want to be as honest as we can.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we kept in contact, and I think he just saw that that was not going to happen,
Okay.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he still hoped for that. Like,
He did. Yeah,
he did.
he he was, and also there's a part of him that, he was in denial of a little bit, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or he had some hope, right? He had some hope because,
Mhm.
he was thinking, okay, she just said for a temporary. Okay. So now you go back to London and now you're there for about 3 years. When did things start shifting for you? Because how long did you end up in London and did you start dating in London?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, what happened, mama? Because you know what I mean? Because you were already on this, you were already, like you said, you were kind of younger, you went and you went the opposite of what everybody in the family thought you were going to do, which ladies, I hope you do what you need to do for yourself. I really hope that listening to this today is giving you that, like, okay, I can't people please people. I can't, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? People are going to go on with their lives. Look at your mom. No, we're not, no offense to your mom and dad, but you're like, they're tan crazy, with their up and the down. That's not for me. We don't have to do what our parents do. Everyone has an opportunity to do it differently because we're different.
Exactly.
This is how I look at it. I look at it like this. I believe that, like, you grow up with your parents or your mother or just your father or whatever it is, like you grow up, right? And they're going to do things a certain way. They're going to have a certain religion. They're going to have a certain way they eat. They're going to have a certain way they do things. All that is great, much respect, but as individual people, what we should do, literally what we should do is realize that their life and what they did is not necessarily what you have to do for
Yeah.
yourself. It's called leave and cleave. Like, you know what I mean? Like, leave that and build your
Exactly.
own life and still have them be a beautiful extension because they're your family. Of course, you have a beautiful love, but you can do your own thing. And kudos
Mhm.
to you, girlfriend. Kudos to you. That's huge. Okay. So now you're not with the guy anymore. He
I'm
finally
not with him.
realized, okay, he's like, okay, she's done. She's done with me. So what happens with you in London? How long do you end up staying there? And how did you start dating?
So I ended up staying 11 years in London.
Oh, wow. So she really lived in London. Okay, 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 okay. But you were still like in the
11,
20s, 11 years.
yes,
What
11
did
years
you end
in.
up doing? You ended up liking it, I think. Did you like it?
Oh, did I what?
Did you like London? Did you end up enjoying
Yeah,
it?
at a point, like it grew on me.
Okay.
I lived by myself. At the end, I was living by myself.
Okay.
So long story short, I got a job in law in the construction sector. It was so draining. It was so boring. I just kept sitting there. I'm like, I wish I was in the bar doing my bartending. It was just so much fun. It was just so boring. It was good for one thing because I knew I had my salary at the end of the month. So that allowed me to travel every month. I used to travel a lot.
Okay.
So I started
Okay.
traveling, meeting people, meeting different cultures. And I saw that the bubble I was brought up, right? It was
Mhm.
just one bubble, but there was so much more
Oh,
of
that's so cool.
there was just so much more to life. There was different type of relationships. There were people doing different things, people
Mm.
with different stories, people that wanted different things, people that really went, through soul searching. And that for me was incredible to be in contact with all those different backgrounds and life experience. It was just a great exchange, right?
Mm.
So I
Mhm.
got into law, and it was not bad.
Mhm, mhm.
Not everything was bad because I had my salary, but I literally, I was like, God, what am I doing with my life, right? I have so much potential. I want to help people. I want to touch people. What do I do? And then I said, okay, there's a Chinese proverb that goes, before trying to change the world, go around your house 3 times. And I said,
Mm.
that's what I can do. So I really started to invest on myself. I went to India the first time in 2015. I started doing shadow work. I started doing more therapy. I didn't gave a dive on shamanism. So I really started to soul search, see, what's my calling, what's my purpose, what is coming up for me. And I always love psychology. And I did
Okay.
archetypal psychology here in Brazil as well.
Mm-hmm.
So coaching, transformational life coaching started to pop up everywhere.
Okay. Nice.
So I'm like, okay, that's a sign. It took me 1 year to find a good school that spoke to me on a deeper level. So I did that. And then I started to, here and there, be invited to, small groups to talk about self-love.
Okay.
And at that point, I dated different men. I dated one Egyptian man, which I really liked. I dated an Indian man. I went to India. I met his family.
So you were open. You were like, I'm not going to discriminate. I'm gonna be open, and date different people and get to. So dating for you, what was dating like for you? Was it just kind of getting to know different men, having some fun, or were you still thinking I don't want to get married or want to get married, or were you just not thinking about that? What was that like for you?
So I went through a transition. My
Okay.
first transition was when I was single. Was I met these Brazilian chicas and we were like, okay, it's party time. So I'm like,
Okay.
I don't want any men. I want to have fun with my girlfriends.
Okay.
I'm in love with myself. I'm starting to build this relationship with myself, really nurture me, listen to myself. I was at that point really shutting down every other voice that was not trying to find my own voice and shutting down all the outside noise.
Okay.
So I didn't want, and I was closed for men, but I was partying a lot. I was going to nightclubs. I was having drinks.
You're out having a good time, but you weren't in that. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But then, like when I was with someone, I was with someone. So when I met this Indian guy, I was with him.
Okay.
And then we started dating. I met the family. At that point, it was very early to think of marriage. But I remember when I got into my 30s, 30 something, I dated this English guy. And
so you're 30 something now. You're in your 30 something. Okay.
30 something. I was dating with this English guy and I really loved his family, his sister, his mother. And he had the lifestyle I was looking for at that time. I was really starting to ease down, very in contact with nature. He lived in the countryside.
Okay.
He was, it was more that quiet lifestyle, which was my phase back then. I was very by myself at that time. I really isolated myself from everyone. I wanted to spend time with myself. So with him, I started to think, this could flourish into something. And it ended up really sadly, he just disappeared. It was very weird for me.
Really?
It was, he disappeared. Like
the guy just disappeared. How long were you with the guy?
I was with him we spent Christmas together. So we were together for a couple of 4 months, more or less.
4 months, yeah.
4 months, yeah.
And I hear this often. Like sometimes women will be like, I was with this guy, things were great, and then that was it. So this one actually disappeared.
It was crazy. Like we spend Christmas together at his family, and then we spent New Year's together. And I was coming to Brazil in January. I always do to visit my family, and he was coming with me. And then we had like a difficult conversation about some things I was, we needed to talk about. And then he had a lot going on. He was getting a divorce with his partner. At work, because it is a marriage as well,
a partnership at work. Yep.
So they were falling out. He had a lot of court cases against his company.
Okay.
So there was a lot on his plate, but
he had a lot going on. It's not necessarily you. This man had his own. Yeah. Okay, got it.
His own thing, and that was great because at that time I already finished my coaching. I already started giving public speaking. On marry yourself first was the topic, in being human, strengthening a relationship with yourself. This was the 2 workshops I was giving. So at that point, at that point when he said, "Oh, I'm not going to Brazil now. Oh, let's give a break," I understood that there was nothing wrong with me. I didn't take it personally. I
Okay.
just looked at him and I said, okay, I think you have a lot on your plate. You need to deal with this first in order to be whole for this relationship, because I want someone that is whole, you know, not the fragmented in pieces, half. No, I don't want a half orange. I want a full orange. And then the only weird thing was there was no closure. But I came to
Mm-hmm.
Brazil. It was sad, obviously, and I felt the sadness. I allowed myself to feel that. And then I was like,
Oh,
shove it
that's
off.
wonderful. Look,
Sadness
let
is
me, I
gone.
want to, no, thank you for saying that. I want to say something about this. Wow. Because I want people to hear this. If you are dating someone and you're getting to know them, and you can have this great, romance. Look, you had this cool romance with this guy for 4 months, right? And they decide, to just either disappear or they ghost you or whatever that is. Do not, hear me out, get hung up on that.
Mhm.
Sometimes what we think closure is not even closure. You got to believe people, and you got to understand that things happen, and those are opportunities that you had, knowing that that person just wasn't for you. It doesn't mean that you didn't have a nice connection with him for the 4 months, everything was great, but for you to really understand that and now allow that to fester, not allow you to, feel depressed about that. I know you said you had a little moment, you got over him, but to brush it off and to move on. That's something that we need to realize and we need to do for ourselves, ladies. If you are, like I said, if you're dating a guy and sometimes and he doesn't, and he decides that he doesn't want to be with you anymore, or he decides that he doesn't, whatever he decides, you know what? That's it. Don't chase the person. Sometimes, you know
No.
what? You don't even need an explanation sometimes, because if the person already made that decision, would it be nice sometimes? But you know what? But sometimes, they just talk and they and they just give you all this kind of stuff that you think, or like it's actually sometimes more confusing. Well, I don't know, because I'm talking, some, if people don't want to stay in that relationship, it always has to do something with themselves, right?
Mhm.
Something that they're
A
going
hundred
through
percent.
themselves.
Yeah.
That's really cool,
I
girlfriend,
mean,
that
we can
you
we cannot force a relationship, right?
no, I love that you said that.
Yeah, I think there's that Buddha always said that, Jesus as well. Like, if there's no the human suffering is so irrational, because if it's not on your control, why
Mm-hmm.
suffer? So I
Yes.
cannot control what he wants. Like, if he wants to be with me, fine. But if he doesn't, and the door is open, and someone will enter that door. And I
Yes.
forgot him real fast. Like, I found I met my old like date here in Brazil, a
Okay.
Brazilian,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, and we had a summer loving, and it was great. So,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I
You're like,
did have my closure after 1 year. He reached out,
okay.
and we talked. And listen, I had no hard feelings for him, none. There was not
That's awesome.
one little dot on my heart. And we spoke, and I said, listen, I understand where you're coming from. I would do things differently.
Yes.
I would treat things differently, but that's me. That's not you.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to get back. And I said, listen, you speak German, I speak French.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we don't speak the same language, and that's fine,
Perfect.
you know.
Good for
But you don't have a
you.
space in my life anymore, and that's it. I moved on.
Okay. So you moved on. So you had that ability because, and I think, doesn't that, you think that has a lot to do with that you were already working on
Yeah.
yourself, right? Like you were already putting yourself in a position to really, learn yourself, heal from things that, you've gone through, to really understand, like, what is it that I am actually wanting
Mhm.
at that time. You know how you said earlier, because now you're in your 30s. Are you feeling at this time in your 30s? Because I just want to say this too. This is going to be really good. So I work with the women, and I work with a lot of women. And matter of fact, I have women that, have different age groups, right? So the age groups are a little older, but I have women that, a majority of my women that are independent women, or, have been women that have kind of put their career first. And
Mhm.
now they're in their 30s and they have this, like, almost like panic attack, thinking, oh man, Uh, I'm too old now to have a kid. I actually just had this conversation yesterday with this amazing lady. Like, oh, she's just this beautiful woman, and she's like in her mid 30s. Let's say mid 30s, and she had a breakup with her guy, and it's the guy's not for her, but she's just kind of
Mhm.
like just realizing, wow, I spent so many years with this guy. Okay, but she also felt, so I want you to talk about this because she also felt like, oh my gosh, I think I'm too old. Can we
Mhm.
talk about that? Because I just said something right now earlier, like, "Ay, mama, we are not too old." So let's talk about this. Because now you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
You already said that guy, you kind of thought maybe he could be the one, but then you realize he's not the one. Then you have this fun, love affair with the guy from Brazil. Then what happens to you? Where's your mindset? What are you thinking at the time?
So at that time, my summer love had to end because I went back
Okay.
to London.
Okay.
And my feeling at the time, when I felt so whole was when I look at my one bedroom flat. I had no car. I had a one bedroom flat rented, um, by myself, living alone. I didn't have anyone else. I didn't have a partner. And I just felt so complete. I just sat there and I'm like, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. And everything just felt so calm.
Wow.
And I had this gut instinct like, Fabiana, don't worry about having a husband or that, because if you put your mind on that, it will happen.
Mm.
Period. And it will happen from day to night. So my thought was that, like, enjoy your time with yourself, because this, my dear, is going to end very soon, because there's no return tag when you have a son, daughter, or marriage. For me as well, there's no return tag. For me, obviously, if something happens that I'm unhappy or he's unhappy, but my energy when I get into a marriage is for life, right?
Yeah.
I want to be
Yeah.
with
You
that person. It's
knew.
for life.
Yes. Yes. You were like, if I'm going to get married, and I've waited all this time, like it's going to
Yeah.
be okay because once I get married, that's it for the rest of my life. That's what I want. So you
Yeah.
had a peace.
I had such a peace because I came to the realization that it was the, I don't know, 2022, no, 2020, 2000, yeah, around 2019, 2020. I'm like, I used to take care of my body a lot. I used to go to gym, and then I started on this quest, and I started to look at my thought patterns and my mental activity, and then my spirituality. And I'm
Yes.
like, I'm good now. I look at the mirror, I like what I see. I sit in an empty space and I feel how the room is complete.
Wow.
So for me, it was very easy. And it was funny because I was very active on Instagram at that time,
Okay.
and
Okay.
very active with my marry yourself first, women, nurture the relationship you establish with yourself, because that permeates all the other relationships.
At that time, did you write the book? Did you? Because you're an author. Were you writing those
Yeah.
books?
Yeah, at
Okay.
that time, I wrote the ebook Marry Yourself First, which, by the
Okay.
way,
Yes. Tell us.
I and that's for you. I will offer to your listeners. So
Yes.
if
Oh,
your
that's
listeners, they
amazing.
want a copy of Marry Yourself First, they can send their email, or they can go on my Instagram, add me, send me a DM. Marry Yourself First.
Do you have a link or something that they can send you an email or sign up for anything? Or we
And
can leave
now
them.
I took my mail listing off when I got pregnant, because I gave a complete break from Instagram.
Okay.
But if they
So
go
what
to
we
my
can do
Instagram,
is what we're gonna do is we will leave and we're gonna talk about that. I want to go back to exactly what you were talking about. So you were gonna talk about how at the time you were, people were reaching out to you, you had this marry yourself. But for marry yourself, who's ever listening to this, we're gonna leave her Instagram handle here in the show notes. So all you need to do is just click the Instagram handle and message her, and she can
yeah,
send you the information. Okay, so keep going. So at the time, you are a woman that's really going against what you would say the odds. Like you're not formatting yourself into just this is how I'm going to do. So you're actually not only doing that, you're living it. You're
I'm
living
living
proof.
it.
And so you write this book. Okay, keep going with that.
I wrote this book, and then I started to give my public speaking, to do my workshops, and I felt so full of energy, because that's my purpose, right? It's to serve. To serve people is to exchange experience, exchange ideas, um, really build the relationship from inside out. And that's what I think is the real problem with relationships. People, they're
Okay.
trying to build their relationships from outside in, instead
Mm,
of building it from the inside out, right? So, well, usually I look at the other one, and what is lacking on me, I want that other one to give it to me. What I'm
hmm.
not capable of giving it myself. So what I got that with my coaches, they came with a
Yes.
list of what they wanted in a man: tall, handsome, rich, blah 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 blah. It's like a grocery list. I'm not even kidding. And I was
Hmm.
like, okay. And I'm like, okay, listen, have you read your list? Yes. Do you check all the items? Because if you don't check all the items that you are actually looking for in the other one to give it to you, then my dear, I'm sorry, right? You cannot want someone to fill a hole that is yours to fill. That is your hole to fill. That will never, this puts so much stress on the relationship, and there's so much, it's like you always lacking in charging that someone, you need to give it to me, you need to give me, because I'm incapable of giving it myself. But people,
Exactly.
they don't bring this to consciousness, right?
Right.
And so there's
Right.
just the finger pointing. Oh, you
Yeah,
didn't
you're
do
gonna
that.
make me happy. Yes, yes. It's like they find their happiness thinking that the other person, if the other person is so good, if the other person, only does this for me, if they only do
Yeah,
that for me, then I'm gonna be happy. But your whole philosophy, your whole journey was you have to find the happiness within. You
right.
have to have the peace within. And that
Yeah.
is beautiful. And that's why you wrote this book. Is that what that book is all about, right?
Yeah, and things happen. But I have a TEDx talk, which is called "Let the First Love of Your Life Be Yourself."
Mm.
And I was 35 when I did that talk, and I was still
Yes.
single. And I know that this is still, you can still see on my Instagram. I was holding that plate saying, "I'm over 30. I'm not married. I don't have kids, and that's okay." You know. And then I just, that was COVID came. I came back to Brazil, and then I met my husband straight after that talk. And then I was like, okay, I'm 35. I met my husband, and I have kids. That's okay. And that was like 8 months apart. Like my whole life changed from a 360. You
Oh
know,
my gosh. Hold on. Hold on. I didn't expect that right now. Oh, that's so good. Okay, that's so good. So you are really at a place in your life. Good for you. And I love that you teach this. And I love that this is how you help people. Because what I love about your story is that you are truly a woman that has walked the walk, is
yeah,
talking the talk.
right,
She's not just fluffy. She's like, listen, I've been there. I was gonna do the whole traditional thing. I realized, nope, it's not for me, and that's okay. Even though I met a good guy, and then I traveled the world, I started figuring out. I was literally went from like being a lawyer to a waitress or to a bartender, right? And then I, learned and I did a TED talk and I was at peace. It sounds like you were finally like at a
yeah,
different peace with yourself, not
yeah.
having to do certain things, right? Then you're like, I'm single and I'm good with it. And then get happen. What happened? Oh, this is awesome. How
COVID
did we meet
happened.
this? Okay, so how do we meet this man, this husband of yours?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like COVID happened, and I was still
Yes.
working as a consultant for HSBC. I worked
See,
in the
ladies, don't you love this? It's never too late. There's hope
Never Too
for
Late.
all of us. Oh, keep going, mama. Okay, let's hear this.
Never Too Late. He's from Salvador.
Okay.
So the city that I was born in, and passed my whole childhood here. And
Yes.
I came here for summer, which I always did on
Okay.
January. And my sister introduced us. He
Oh,
was very handsome, and I was like, okay, good talk. But I was going back to London, so I was like, I'm not gonna give him a chance because I'm flying
you do
back.
your little summer thing. Yeah, you're like, it's kind of
Yeah,
like casual. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was like, I'm fine. I want to have fun. I want to get tan. That's it. And then I go back to London, and then COVID came. And then when COVID came, I remember I called my boss because I was doing both. All my talks were canceled, obviously, because it was a workshop. So it was a presential workshop. So
So at the time, let me just make sure everyone knows this. So not only this, that you were an author, you were a speaker, and you were traveling and doing different places, speaking on your topic, all the way, which is huge. A TED Talk is huge. Well, kudos to you. That is very impressive. And really like in this type of energy and space, traveling, your book signings, all the stuff. Okay, COVID
came, and then I called, and at that time I was about to leave law completely. But when COVID, and I already spoke to my boss, I'm like, listen, in April, I'm gonna, just coaching is taking a lot of time. I want to focus solely on that. And he's like, no, that's fine. And then end of March, COVID came, and I'm like, I'm gonna hold this for longer. And the offices were closed, and then I spoke to my boss, can I work from Brazil? Because at least here is summer. My parents live, they have like the beach in front of them. So I was like,
amazing.
Yeah, just go and work from there. So I came to Brazil for 3 weeks. That was it.
Okay.
3 weeks.
Okay.
Now listen to this story.
Okay.
I met my husband in January, but I said, bye, I'm moving back to London. See you later, Gator, bye.
Okay.
I came to my parents' house for 3 weeks during COVID.
Okay.
His brother, that I've never met before, rented, my parents live on the 7th floor. He rented the 8th floor above my parents.
Okay.
Now, everything was closed, but we had some stairs, some big stairs here. And I'm like, Mom, let's go do some exercise. Let's go up and down the stairs.
Okay.
And then I see his brother, and I'm like, Mom,
you remember the brother? You should remember. Okay, you know the
I
brother.
never met the brother, but they look exactly the same.
Okay, you knew that the guy's familiar. Okay.
He's familiar. I've seen this face before, but his skin is just darker, and he's a little bit taller. That's the difference.
Okay.
And I was like, I know this guy. And then my mom was like, with her big mouth, she goes, he's the brother of that guy that was hitting on you, because she was there too when I was talking to Rogério. And he heard her. I was like,
he did.
Mom. I was like, what are you doing? And then he comes up to me and is like, what's your name? Was my brother hitting her? I'm like, no, my mom is just like, I didn't know what.
Yeah, you're just totally playing it off. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then he called the brother and said, who's here? Who's back? And then he started to call me, let's meet up. And I'm like, listen up, it's COVID. I'm returning in 3 weeks. I'm in my parents' house. I don't want to, it was just the beginning of COVID. I didn't know. I didn't want to put my parents in danger as well.
Yes.
So my flights kept getting canceled. I couldn't go back. So what was 3 weeks turning to 8 months.
Oh, God was like, no, girl, this is your man, like it or not. We're gonna cancel the flights because we know you. You're like gonna fly away. No, they were like, this is it. Oh my goodness. So your husband at the time, obviously, what happened with him? Was he just completely pursuing you? Did you guys start like?
He was he's a married himself man as well. He was 42, never got married. He's a man that he loves his own company. He's very him, he's very, this is so attractive. Like, he know what he brings to the table in such a quiet way. He's not loud. He's just, his presence is just, I see a tree with very profound roots, He's like he's my pillar, because I'm like,
yes. You're all over. You know how I explain it? So it sounds like your husband. Like, seriously, like he is a true masculine man. Like he's solid like a rock. Like he is literally the mountain, and he is still and he's solid, and you are the ocean, and you get to literally crash into him in waves, and then you go still, and then you start getting all fired up. That's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so that was
Yeah.
something so sexy because you're such an independent woman. You're so,
Yeah.
vibrant. So having him be so solid and so,
So solid.
right, and like confident in himself and what he wants,
Yeah.
wasn't that attractive?
Very attractive. Very
Oh,
attractive. And the
wow.
funny part is his brother
Hmm.
told him,
Yeah.
she's gonna break your heart. She's not for you.
Really?
Yes. He was like, she traveled the world. She's gonna break your heart, man.
She's gonna
And
break your heart.
yeah, in Rogério, he's like, he doesn't listen to anyone. He's just like, I'll do my own thing. You do you, I'll do me,
That's
and we're
that's
cool.
it. That's what he
Yeah.
does. That's
Yeah.
amazing. He's
Yeah.
literally like, nope. Well, he's kind of like you, mama, because he was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the beat of my own drum, and I know what I want. I know what I
Yeah.
don't want, and I don't need to stay in anybody's lane, but I'm in my own lane. So, oh my goodness. Okay. So you guys then, so you obviously start dating him, right? You fall in love?
Yeah, I mean, I was my house in London. My flat was closed. I was 8 months paying rent for an
Wow.
unoccupied flat. I couldn't go
Yes.
back.
Yes.
And then after 1 month, he's like, "Okay, you're still here. Let's meet up." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not doing anything. Let's meet up." And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
that was it. And it's funny because I said the sensation. I have one friend that he went, "Oh, it, it, it was like a crazy passion," and I'm like, no, 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 it was the opposite of it. I had no, the butterflies on my stomach, they were too old for this type of feeling. With him was a sensation of arriving in my house, of on my
Mm.
destiny. It was just so smooth. There
Mm.
was no, oh, my heart is pounding. Obviously my heart was pounding because he was so handsome and I
Yes,
felt
you
attracted
had
to him.
attraction. That's beautiful,
Yeah.
and that's wonderful. Like, see what she's saying? Like, you can have attraction for someone, and that's important, that's good, but it didn't have to be what you were used to in the past, which is
Yes.
so fast and dynamic, and
Yeah.
people get so caught up in that, they think that that's what they want, but it's not necessarily what you want because that shit burns really
Yeah.
quickly. It seems
Yes.
like with you 2, right? Is that where you're going with this? There
Yeah.
was it's like a slow burn. And
Yeah.
that's how, wow. So talk about
And,
that.
and we
So it,
didn't know what was going to happen, right? It was just
mm-hmm.
it was a shot in the dark because my whole life
Yes.
was in London. His
Yes.
life is here. He can't move because of his work. So for me, it was like, I'm just gonna feel this. And I remember I looked at, it was just one day, I looked at him, I said, I could be happy with this man. Easy like that. It was just, I looked at him, I'm like, I could be happy with this man. And he gave me so much, all that I didn't have of, being rooted and having a home. He gave all that to me, you know. But then I still went back to London. So
Okay,
COVID
you did?
ended.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went back to London and it's like, okay, I'll go there. I'll spend some time with you. On
Yeah.
the day he was flying,
Yes.
London, it was Boris Johnson at the time. He said the second lockdown was coming in 1 week.
Oh,
And he was about to fly in. So I called him. I'm like, don't get that flight. The
okay.
second lockdown was announced here. Let me call my
Mm-hmm.
boss.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, boss, can I go back to Brazil? And she was like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I came back to Brazil again. And then, I think that was it. I
The
think,
rest,
yeah,
wow.
this
Wow.
time I gave the keys of the flat. I'm like, I don't know when I'm coming back. There you go. I'm closing this flat. Bye. I left a few stuff there, and then
Yeah.
I came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you just like, was it different with then obviously it was. Was it just different with this man? Like he was truly your person.
Truly my person. Truly my person. It was just
Wow.
so, it, like such an energy match. And we had, and that's the thing that I see. We have the same love language and same values. My
Yes.
core values that it's not
Yes.
negotiable in any
Yes.
relationship. He has the same, and he's just a man of his word, and he's
Yes.
so honest. He's just so kind and honest that
Oh,
is
it's
like a
beautiful.
non-corrupted being. And
That's
for
how
me,
girlfriend, that's how, like, thank you. That's actually how it should be. It should be like, it should be easy like that. Believe it or
yeah,
not, like, easy is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that, like, relationships don't go through stuff. It doesn't mean
yeah,
nobody's perfect. You know, you can have different disagreements. That's the beauty. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. But relationships should not feel forced. So
yeah.
relationships shouldn't feel toxic. Relationships should not feel like, oh, I just don't feel right. God, it's so hard. Like, oh, we can't get along. Oh, it's just this. No,
Hmm.
it should feel
Exactly.
like how it was with him.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow, 100%. Because you shouldn't, like it. Like, I love how it just naturally, like, you to absolutely, obviously, you have to have that attraction for your person, you
Mhm.
guys, but it just seems like he's like your best friend. Like, it's
Yeah.
like you guys just
He
naturally,
he
wow,
just
mama.
and he was the only man that
Yes.
for the first time I felt that I could be vulnerable with, because that's the thing. I'm a doer.
Mm.
I'm a woman. I'm a very, like my mom. I'm a doer. I'm a go-getter.
Mhm.
So this sometimes can shy away men, right? Because I don't
Mhm.
wait for anyone to decide for me. I go and I decide for myself. And
Mhm.
always, I never felt in a relationship that
Mhm.
I could show my how to be vulnerable, or
Your vulnerability.
my vulnerability, or my even my feminine side.
Yes.
Even my
Yes.
feminine side, I felt like I had to be like with all this masculine energy,
Yes.
go, go, go
Yes.
all the time. And with him, I just relaxed. I was like, okay, there's me, there's my personality,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it will always be me. But
Yep.
with him, I just feel like for the first time that I could cry on someone's shoulders, that he
Oh.
would hold me. He would hold me, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So
Yes. That is true, ladies. When you are really understanding yourself, and you do that work where we talk about the work on yourself, and really you're discovering and really figure out what it is that you want, really figure out where you're at, and have that set and be okay with it. Like, if it's not here now, it's okay, but have those values, and you really attract the right person. It gives you an opportunity, exactly what she's talking about right now. This is the difference. When we talk about safety, to me, what safety is, yes, we're talking safety and physical safety, all that. I know that. We want a man protect us. But to me, what safety is feeling safe enough with that person so we can actually be vulnerable
mhm,
and let go of control and know that they got us, and there's no judgment there, and we can be a woman with all of our great emotions, even though you can be a very strong woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I hope
mhm,
you understand that there's nothing wrong with being a strong
mhm,
woman, but there's nothing wrong with also being able to really tap into your feminine and let go and relax and feel and have that safety. Oh, I love this, because you have been, ladies, look at her. She has been such a strong woman, like really doing her thing. She's independent. She's been able to make it on her own. She's an author. She's a speaker. She did all the things, but she finally met her person that she was able to have. Oh, that is so beautiful. This is what I want for all of us. I'm telling you right now, that you were able to be you.
yeah. And he's so different and he's so different from me, and yet
Yes.
there's so much admiration. For example,
Yes.
he's a super introvert. Like,
Yes.
for him to be speaking on camera right here, it would be like the
He
worst
died. Yeah, he'll be like,
disaster. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
oh my
yeah,
god, it would
yeah.
be all blocking.
Yes,
And
yes,
but he admires this, that I have this on me, and he will be the first sitting on any speaking gig that I have, applauding me. And
mm,
there's just so much support for each other. Like the work that he does, I'm like, that is boring, man. I don't know how you can do that, but he loves it.
yes,
And I'm like, kudos
yes,
to you. And
yes.
there's just so much respect, for our private
Respect.
space and for our unity as a couple, because he was a whole human being, I was a whole human being. We didn't complete each other, we complemented each other. So
Yes,
we walk alongside each other, respecting each other, cheering and rooting for each other, and also serving as a mirror for each other. Because I
yes.
remember one thing that I like my parents' dynamics, that I told you about.
Yes,
Like
yeah,
my
yeah,
mom
yeah. You're
tends to scream a lot,
yes.
and his parents' dynamic, they're still married as well, is the
Okay.
opposite.
Okay.
Like she has a very soft voice and she's
Yeah.
very feminine. And on the beginning of our relationship dynamics, sometimes I could be very tough and rispid on the way I
Yeah.
speak, right?
Right. Right.
Very tough. And he understood that this was generational because of my parents and my grandparents.
Wow.
He understood that. And then he said one thing. He said, your way is not easy for me to accept, but I will try my best to accept it. And I said, do not accept that because it's something that I've always looked in my parents and I don't want to reproduce. So instead of you accepting my way, help me grow and match
Mm.
your way of
Oh, that's
speaking
beautiful.
because I admire the way you speak to me and I want to match that. So I don't want you to lower your standards. I want you to help me grow up to where you are, you know. And we just have this, it's a very open dialogue where, we can talk about our flaws, very not feeling judged and like, listen, I want to grow with you in this relationship and I wanted to grow up personally as well. So
Yes.
help
Yes.
me out here. And I never had that before, so
Oh,
it's
that's
very special.
wonderful. No, that's beautiful. Because I mean, ultimately, relationships should truly enhance our lives, not
Mhm.
detract from them.
Yeah.
Relationships should be a place that we grow, we can mature, because you get two people together when you have the right alignment, right? But it really, when it comes down to it, honestly, we all have imperfections, right? So it's two imperfected people coming together. But that's when you have the right person, you guys. That's kind of like when the work starts. You have the opportunity to grow with each other, to help each other, because we're gonna fall, we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna be human. And when you have that right person, it is actually an opportunity to not stay stuck, to not stay the same, to, like you
Mhm.
said, like, no, I don't want to just have that be me. I'm the screamer. I'm the,
Yeah.
no, I want to actually have a different relationship with you.
Mhm.
Because, like we talked about, we get to create what we want. We get to
Exactly.
create, right, what we type of relationship we want, and how we want to present ourselves. And that was an opportunity with him and you, that you guys gave each other that space, and you guys respect each other, and that's how you guys actually continue probably on respecting each other. This is awesome. Oh my goodness, I just want everyone to hear this. Like, there is, you, okay, and tell us too, I know, and you ended up having a child, right? Did
Yes,
you guys have a,
we have one.
yeah,
Yeah, a baby boy.
you
He's
had a
almost.
baby boy? How old is he?
He's gonna turn 3. He's
Oh,
adorable. He's
oh,
an amazing father. Amazing father. Gave all
oh,
the support I needed on during my first maternity, and the first 40 days. He was really, instead of, it was really funny that I named Mix because he cared about the baby when he was born,
yes,
but he was worried about me. He's like,
right.
what do you need me to do? How can
That's
I
right.
help you? And I'm
Yes,
like, that's what
yes,
I need from you. I need you to give my support in order for me to be a mother right now because the baby needs
yes,
me at this moment.
yes, yes,
And it
yes.
was it was great. We had an amazing experience. He's a great father. Joaquin loves him to bits, and
Oh
my son
my,
is adorable. It's very cute.
oh my God, I love your story so much. Oh, I love your story so much. I want, I know, we're gonna wrap it up. I keep you a long time, but thank you. This has been
Yeah.
so good. But I really would love for you to share a little bit, and maybe, your advice on, women that have been in your shoes in the past, like, like, not really knowing what they want, but they're thinking they still have desire to get married, but they're feeling like, oh, is it not in the cards for me? Am I too old? Because you did all of this. Like, how old were you when you had your son?
36.
36. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I said. It's not too old, ladies. Seriously. I have women that are having babies in their 40s. It's
My
okay.
sister, she's pregnant. One of my sisters had her third one at 40 now, and my other sister, my older sister, is pregnant at 42.
Perfect. So what advice would you give them? Because look at your journey and how you did what you did and where you're at now. What would you like to say to women listening to this today?
What I would say is be clear of what you want and rest assured that the mind is a powerful thing. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you cannot, you cannot. Right? So if you start to think that you're too old, think that there's no good men around you, that all men are equal, that they're players, this and that, you're focusing on that, and that will grow. Whatever we put our attention to, whatever we focus on, tends to grow and becomes a circular pattern of thought, right? So for you, if that's what you really want, one is the decision. Is it easy? No, because there comes now the work on yourself, right? What is my responsibility on that, of this not happening to me? What is my participation? And it's hard for people to actually take credit for something that is going not as they planned on their life, right?
Right.
Because
Yes.
we tend to blame the weather, the
Yes.
mother. Oh, because I grew up like this,
Or
childhood
he was a
trauma.
jerk. Yeah, he
He
was a
was
jerk.
a
He cheated
jerk,
on me. Yeah.
cheating on me. I'm traumatized by my past relationship. Okay,
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I can understand that your pain was probably not caused by yourself
Hmm.
if you went through a childhood trauma, but now you're an adult. And as an adult, that now you have the conscience, all right? You can shift that, or you can live and retelling yourself this story and play the victim and be on a victim mentality, because it's also very safe. If you keep telling yourself this story, this happened to me because when I was young, my parents this, my classmate that, I suffered bullying. Okay, if that's the story you want to tell, fine. But then you won't be the author of your own story. If you want to be the author of your own story, start a bank page. Okay, this happened to me. It was not good. Shit happens. What and where do I go from now? Because
Yes.
every minute, every moment is a moment for change. Every moment. Today, if I want to change, I will change. It's
Yes.
a decision. It's a decision. But it starts with yourself. There's nothing outside of you. Life doesn't happen to you. Life happens from you, you know. And this is visible. This is not like something that is not tangible. Like if you just look, you wake up, you're having a bad hair day, and then I cannot find a space in the parking lot, and then my milk falls down. Oh my God, my day is a disaster. It tends to happen more and more of that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because you're
Hmm.
focusing on that. So we need to shift the perceptions. We need to shift the relationship with established with yourself, because
That's so
the way we relate to ourselves permeates all other relationships in our life. If I think I'm not deserving of love, if I'm not deserving of money, if I'm not deserving of peace, why would the other one think? If I don't value myself, why would the other one value? And there's one very good experience they did with wine. On a wine tasting contest, this guy, he got a very cheap wine and put a very, very expensive label. And he started tasting, saying, well, this is the best wine. Everyone on the room that was tasting gave the wine a gold medal, because he was saying this wine is worth.
That's what he believed.
That's what he believed, and people believe that. So people will buy into your story, and the universe will corroborate your story as well. It will find ways to corroborate that. So what you put out in the universe, rest assured, it will happen, right? So, and take your time. Like if we see nature is so perfect. All the seasons, there's winter, there's spring, there's day, there's night. The soul has season as well. We have
Mm.
seasons. We're not 100% every day. So slow down, get in touch with yourself, quiet the mind, listen to yourself, and it will guide you.
Mm.
The voice, God, or whatever you believe in, the universe, yourself, your gut instinct, it will guide you to the path you need to go. It's not always easy.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was not easy, but look where I am right now.
Look what you are now. Oh, that was beautiful. Mic drop, ladies. And that is truly speaking from someone that, like we said earlier, I kept saying this earlier, like she's walked the walk, talked the talk, and she did not conform to, those negative thoughts that were telling her, no, you're never going to find a man. No, you got to do it this way. No, she was going through it and really being honest and real with herself. And in the end, you guys, you know what she did? She ended up finding an amazing man. She has an amazing son. She's happy. She's, and she really did it her way. So I want everyone to hear that. So even if you're in a relationship right now and things are not good, you know what? You can shift things. You can, first of all, you can look inwards for yourself. And if you're a single woman, and I don't care what age you are, like, listen to what she just said. It really comes down what you're putting out there in the universe and what you truly believe. Because if you really believe that, then it's not going to be possible for you. But if you believe that it is possible for you, because she said that earlier, she had this peace that she was comfortable and she knew it was going to happen. And you weren't stressed when it was going to happen. You're like, I knew I'm going to meet my man. I'm going to get married, whatever. And she believed in that. Oh, mama. Wow. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation and your incredible story and your journey. And what is life like now? What are you guys looking forward to, you and your husband and your son? What do you guys got going on?
There's so much going on. So right now we're looking for a new apartment.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna move. I am teaching
Oh,
as well at a school,
nice.
coaching skills, middle school, and I'm working with children with learning disabilities. So that's new for me as well. I have 2 other books coming up. It's ready on my mind. I just need time to write it down.
Okay, that's amazing. We want to know about that. Yes, so you have 2 books coming up. Okay.
2 books coming up. I have some talks lined up.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and just I was on holiday, so me and my husband were just resting with our kid and just enjoying ourselves and our company as a
Fantastic. Oh my
family.
goodness. So I already said, so first of all, tell us, where do you spend most of your time? Are you on Instagram? How do they get a hold of you? What is your handle?
Yeah, so I use Instagram. It's
Okay.
Fabi_Dorea.
Okay. Spell it for us.
FABI DOREA.
Perfect. We'll make sure we'll leave that in the show notes too, so they can follow you. And then you said you have what are your 2 books that you have, your ebooks that you have? What are the names again?
Yeah, so I have one ebook they're in English and Portuguese, which is Marry Yourself First. And the other book, which is an actual book, physical book, is called Life After 30, which goes through all this journey that we walk through here, but there's some inner perceptions, some other experiences. So it is a book about, I think, all of us chameleons and multifaceted women on a quest to find who are we, who am I, and who am I individually, and who am I in connection to the whole. So it's still not in English. This one is just in Portuguese, and I have 2 other books coming up. One will be a child, an infant book called "Mommy Will Be Back," something like that.
Okay.
And then another one on it's a betrayal. It's like a romantic suspense. Yeah, so a little different from what I know.
Wow. Well, thank you. No, you were fabulous. And ladies, gentlemen, seriously, get in her world, follow her, grab that. Thank you. Thank you so much for that free ebook so that we can get that. And thank you so much for this conversation today. You were absolutely amazing. I just really appreciate you. And is there anything else that, before we get off, like, is there anything else that you want to share? Because, wow, you just shared so much today.
No, I just want to say thank you. It's a pleasure. I love your energy. I love being here, sharing my story with you. So thank you for having me. And
Absolutely.
well, we'll
Thank
keep in
you.
touch, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course, we're gonna stay friends. I'm telling you. Well, thank you so much, and everyone. Until next time, cheers to great love. That's a wrap. Wow, what an amazing conversation I had with Fabiana. I love how, from a very young age, she truly followed her intuition and her gut and wanted to do things that felt aligned with her. And as soon as she completely let go, she met the love of her life, got married, had a baby, and is the happiest she's ever been. Wow. What a beautiful love story. If you're loving these podcasts and these incredible conversations, please hit the subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Don't miss an episode because each week I'll be bringing on guests and experts who will share their knowledge about love, dating, and relationships so you can apply it into your own life. I'll see you next week. And until then, cheers to great love.